Hey guys, JD here. Today we're going to talk about content and valuable content and why that's the lifeblood of your social media presence. So if you've heard me give presentations before, you might have heard me say the name Gary Vaynerchuck. His digital philosophy is where mine comes from, and he shared a video yesterday I want to share a clip of with you guys that talks about content and value.
For me, there's no bigger strategy on earth than provide as much value as possible to everybody. Now, content can be broken down a lot of ways. A lot of people, a lot of businesses, back to your question, are making content in the form of commercials and marketing. I think that's a bad idea for the most part. I think that there's a new age of content that can be produced that is far more storytelling, compelling. Don't make a commercial, make a movie trailer to sell your product. I think every business needs to think more like a media company, aka Volvo needs to think more like ESPN, Steven Spielberg, than they need to think about making a Volvo commercial. You should start a podcast for $1 million instead of spending $1 million in radio ads. If you make it in the form of content and information entertainment, not in the form of a commercial or a sales pitch, that is the biggest differentiator, and that's how I think about it.
So the basis of what Gary is saying in this clip is that content is king and that valuable content is even better. Traditional marketing in the ways that we think of it, like commercials or maybe even radio ads, are very self-serving to the people making the ad. You're not so much thinking about what the end user is experiencing as opposed to what it does for you. Nowadays, we really need to think of content differently. What value is this bringing somebody else? Like he said, value is a pretty nebulous term and can mean a lot of things, but ultimately it should be about what does my promotion, my ad, my anything give to the end user. And the example he used of a movie trailer, that's entertainment value. It's not just an ad to commercial that you want to skip through. It's something interesting that catches your eye. In the podcast example, a podcast can be more valuable because of the information you can share through that avenue, the questions you can answer, the stories or experiences you can share with the listener, as opposed to a 15 to 30 second ad kind of explaining who you are. Well, it takes time to do video. It takes time to come up with these things. It really, truly does. I'm not trying to hide that fact, but that's what it takes nowadays to stand out in this digital marketplace, in this digital arena. But if you ever have an idea or something interesting that you want to try, do it. Online, on Facebook, on social media, on the internet, that's the place where you can try those things and see what happens. There's no harm in it besides losing a little bit of your time, and if it works out well, you could have started something really cool that nobody else is doing in your market. But it takes the time, the thought, and the initiative to really try to pursue it. So my point here is purely that content is king and the value you provide in that content is what's important. Always be thinking about what somebody else is getting out of this. Not just what it's doing for you, but what it's doing for them. So be valuable, provide great, interesting content, and you're gonna win.